Aloha Maika'i, my name is Relle and welcome to my kitchen where I like to share all my favorite island and Hawaiian style recipes. And today we'll be making seared ahi salad. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. And if you're new here, welcome. As you can see, I've got a new setup here, trying something new, got some friends helping me out today. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment box below. So first step to this salad is to make the marinade for the ahi. So we'll start by prepping the veggies. First, you'll need some green onions. All you'll do is go ahead and cut off the bottom. So what you'll want to do is we'll go ahead and slice up the green onions. And all we're going to do is slice it really thinly. So move your fingers as you go. One bunch of the green onions is good, and you can totally add more or less depending on how much you like. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that into a bowl. The next thing is ginger. We'll just slice it. So I just need a small knob of it. So you can just take one of that off of the side like this. And you'll take the ginger. You can peel it if you want, but I don't. You can just toss it in, so you can just leave the side on. So all you're gonna do is make fine slices like this. 2, 3, 4, like that. Thin slices, and that'll just be tossed directly into the marinade like this. And then lastly, the garlic. And you're just gonna hit it with the base of your palm of your hand like this. And that'll crack it like this. And then all you have to do is peel that outside. You don't want that part. That part's really fibrous. And then this one's a pretty good, but all you have to do is put the garlic into the garlic press like this. And then place it over whatever. And you just squeeze and it'll push out these nice little ribbons of garlic. Does take a little bit of oomph to get it through, and then using the knife you can just slide it down. So now we'll make the marinade for the ahi. And into a large bowl you're gonna go ahead and add those ingredients. So first we'll go ahead and add the shoyu. Shoyu is Japanese style soy sauce. It can be found in the Asian aisle at most grocery stores. So you'll add that to the bowl. Next, you'll add some sugar. You can use white sugar, brown sugar, totally up to you. We'll go ahead and add that to the bowl as well. And then sesame oil. I wouldn't add too much of this one, just a little bit, just to give it some of that flavor. And the green onions that we cut, if some of it didn't slice through like this, all you gotta do is kind of just spread it out with your fingers. So we'll go ahead and add the green onion. The ginger slices that we just did, we'll toss that in. And of course, lastly, the garlic. And then all we have to do is mix it together. So that's the marinade. We'll set that aside while we cut up the ahi. Now for the ahi, you want to make sure your ahi's 1/2 inch or so, at least, so that when you sear it, it doesn't cook all the way through. Because what happens when you sear it, just the outside gets cut. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and slice this. We'll go ahead and cut 1/2 inch, 1 inch-ish piece. So long strokes down. Try not to saw it back and forth because you don't want to ruin this beautiful cut of fish. Sometimes you gotta slide it a little bit, but overall, you do one long stroke through each time, and then you've got this nice piece like this. Okay, now that we got the ahi slab cut, we're gonna go ahead and set it into the marinade that we made earlier. So I just wanna mix it up a little bit in case any of that sugar has settled. And then what we'll do is we'll just get that ahi slab and it'll go directly into the shoyu sugar mix. Now, while this is marinating, you'll want to heat up your pan. You'll want to set it non-stick pan, take medium, high heat. You'll want this pan hot because when we sear it, we want to make sure that it cooks the outside really quickly and keeps the inside raw. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and flip it, and then you'll just let it sit in the marinade for a bit. So that'll just sit for a little bit. And while that sits, we'll go ahead and make the crust. So we're going to get a plate, and to the plate, we'll want to add black pepper. If you want to use white pepper, you totally can, but we'll use black. And set that onto the plate. Then we'll also want to get some salt. Kosher salt is fine. The smaller granules are better. And then lastly, some sesame seeds. They're toasted and have a little bit more flavor, white or black, doesn't matter, totally up to you. And just mix that up a little. And this is what's gonna make the crust for when we sear it. Now, the best thing for your pan is to make sure that it's ripping hot. So you can start your pan to heat it up now. And then all you're gonna wanna do is take that and mix it all together so that everything is kind of spread out. And this is just to make a little layer over the ahi, so that way it has a little extra flavor when you do that. So after you have it sit in the marinade, what we're gonna do is go ahead and crust it. So a couple of ways you can go about doing this. You can use your hand if you want. You can use tongs, whatever is easier. Honestly, using my hands is a little bit easier, so we can do that. I'm cooking this for my family, but if you're not, you can totally put on gloves if you're gonna cook this for others. So you'll kind of let that marinade, try to drip off the excess so that it doesn't clump up onto the crusting that we've just made. And then basically you'll just put all the sides over the crust so that it gets covered. So it'll sit on the crust like this, and that'll be one side. And what you can do to try to kind of help it is just shimmy the bowl or the plate over to move things around. And then you'll want to cover that side. And because it's a triangle shape, we're going to end up having to, and it's thick, we'll want to do all sides as well. And you can kind of move it around, or you can shake it up to get the last of it. Don't worry if you miss some spots, you can go back and flip it back over again just to make sure. You see how here I've missed a little bit, but that's okay. You can just go ahead and cover it over. Because it's marinated, if it's not crusted on every single part, you can totally put it over like that if you want. It will get kind of stuck to your hands, and that's fine. But once it's crusted and everything's all set, as best we can, pretty much soak up all that's on the plate that's there. All right, so now that this is done, we'll go ahead and set that aside, and this will go directly into the pot. So we'll make sure it's only gonna stay on, the pan for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. You'll start to see the color creep up when it's cooking, and you wanna flip it in between. So it'll go directly onto the hot pan. Ideally, you would want to pan sear in a cast iron or stainless steel pan. However, if all you have is non-stick, don't worry, we can make that work as well. And then you'll let it sear. Don't move it, don't worry about it. It's not gonna stick. You've got a non-stick pan and you've got a crusty layer on it. So you'll let that cook through for 30 seconds, a minute, maybe minute half at max, but I wouldn't go longer than that. And I'm just gonna rinse off my hand while that finishes searing up. Okay, now if you watch, you can kind of see it'll start to creep up the side of the pan. This side has started to sear up a little bit. You can kind of see over the edge. We'll let it go just for a little while longer to make sure. Then I like to just use a spatula. All you'll do is kind of slide it under, and you can use your other hand to help guide it to flip it over. Now it's starting to creep up, so we'll go ahead and flip it over. So same thing, like I mentioned, slide the spatula under, and then you'll use this hand to kind of just guide it to flip it over. And you've got that beautiful sear on that side. And then you'll just let it go. A little bit less on this side because it'll take less time to cook through because it's already heated. And with this one, because it's so thick, we'll also want to go ahead and sear up the sides as well. After that side has seared over, all you want to do is kind of just hold it up like this so that it cooks on that side. So we'll do that, and then flip it, and you'll sear it a little bit on that side, and then again on the other side. And that's how you sear it. Now we'll want to slice up the ahi. So totally up to you how you want to eat it. But what I like to do is kind of just cut them into little strips like this. Fluid slices to not rip the meat up like this. Now, if you want to see, the center ends up getting seared. So you see how the edge is just cooked through, and in the middle you have this nice raw, yes, raw, but it's supposed to be like that, seared. All right, now for the salad. But before we get started, I'd like to mahalo Foodland Hawaii for sponsoring this video. As always, thoughts and opinions are my own. What I like to do is go ahead and get the spring mix, wash it, put it in the salad spinner, Then what I like to use also in my salads for a little extra flavor, a little extra crunch, is edamame. So these edamame are the Maika'i shelled edamame. They're unsalted. This is from Foodland. You can find this in the freezer section at any of your food lines. You can warm it up in the microwave directly into the bag itself, or you can pour it out into a bowl and warm it up. So I've already done that. So we can go ahead and open this up. And then up to you. You can add as much or as little as you want, and we'll just kind of put that over. Then you'll go ahead and add the ahi that we just cut up onto here. So you'll just go ahead and lie the ahi across the top. And you know what? Because this is a kind of a big bowl, we can add a little bit more. So let's cut up a little bit more. Another last flavor packed and texture kind of thing that I like to add, wonton strips. This adds extra crunch, so I like to put that. And you can kind of just put it around. And then we'll go ahead and add the salad dressing. So I've got here the organic Asian sesame dressing from Maika'i. This one is Foodland, and you can find it in the salad dressing aisle at all your local Foodland. And then you'll just drizzle as much or as little as you want over the top. That's how you make a seared ahi salad. Enjoy!
Thank you for watching my mom's video.